Hi students, I wanted to show for you an example narrative essay. I don't post examples, but I wanted to share this one with you because this student does a particularly good job of writing an engaging and interesting narrative. Remember that the narrative essay is not a research paper. You're primarily telling us a story, but then you're adding in a bit of argument and a bit of research to apply your situation to a broader picture. And remember that your topic does not necessarily have to be a negative thing. It can be something positive that happened to you. Before you begin writing your essay, make sure that you read carefully, especially these first 3 handouts under week 3 that walk you through the narrative essay. Let's look at this example. So your narrative should be in MLA format. You should have a creative title. And I will read for you the first couple paragraphs here. Again, this is a student work submitted last fall with his permission. A bump in the road ricocheted my head off the glass window of the pickup. The sun beat down through the windows of the truck, overpowering a struggling AC. Trash from the road trip littered the floor, and hairball rock blared from the stereo. Despite the unpleasant conditions, the carload was in good spirits. A woman, Grandma Nora, had a house full of kids but was without AC in the heat of a South Dakota summer. Our truck was on the way to install a window unit for her family and attempt to shed a little light in the dark cloud that envelopes the Rosebud Indian Reservation. These conditions were not uncommon for families on the reservation. Poverty rates are sky high, and the living conditions reflect this. Although adults live in the same situation, it is the kids on the reservation that are affected the most by the poor circumstances. My experiences on the Rosebud Indian Reservation illustrate the meager living situations of South Dakota Native Americans on the reservation and show why the kids are impacted the most. The plains begin to blend together as I stare out the window. We pass a grizzled Native American sitting in a lawn chair at the end of his driveway. His glazed eyes remind me of the hopelessness of the reservation. A shotgun lies across his tattered denim jeans, and those glazed eyes watch traffic go by. It's my 3rd time visiting to do mission work, and I understand that this is just a part of living on the reservation. However, 2 of my friends in the truck, Tate and Levi, are coming along for the first time. My dad, who is behind the wheel, turns to the boys and proclaims, "Welcome to the reservation, boys." So as you can see, I'm going to stop reading. So as you can see, this student uses a lot of vivid descriptions. He makes the reader feel like he's right there in the car with him. Take a look at some of the adjectives that he uses and some of the emotion that he puts into the narrative. It's really, really interesting and compelling to read. It reads like a real story, and that's what you want to challenge yourself to use that. I love the way he says things like sad lawn and the way that he uses dialogue in here. Dialogue is a great way to draw your reader into the story. And do you see how this works much, much better than when I was a senior in high school? We went on a mission trip to the reservation, and there were 2 kids in the car, and we got there to do AC repairs. You know what I mean? So really, really challenge yourself to show versus tell. This is your chance to flex those creative muscles and really tell us a story. Try, those handouts and things like that give you some tips, like the senses, the 5 senses, can really help you come up with some descriptions and things like that so that your essay is engaging and it does read like a story. Remember, this is not a research paper, okay? So you want to put us right there into the story, and then depending on which method you use, you'll draw a little bit from your sources, okay? And speaking of sources, this really should not be too source heavy. In the prompt, I talk about how you want to think about, half narrative, half argument. And if you're going to do one side or the other, it should be heavier on the narrative side and less so on the argument side. So again, these 3 are really important to take a look at those. There's also some sample thesis statements. But let's take a look at what's expected of you here. Make sure that you want to look at the prompt itself for what the final draft requirements will be. But for the conference draft, make sure that you look at this as well, because in addition to the paper, if you look carefully, it says following your works cited page in the same document but on a fresh page, submit the following. And there you're supposed to write up an additional couple paragraphs and 3 specific questions, okay? I talk about the counter argument in this section, and that's something that you want to consider just because it helps you see things maybe from your reader's perspective, and that may or may not be something that you want to include in an essay of this size, okay? So I just wanted to show you that example and walk you through that conference instruction and then remind you of the notes. As always, please let me know if you have questions. Thanks for your attention, and I'll talk to y'all soon.